Hi, welcome to Eye Openers. I'm your host, Brittany, and each week I bring you insightful conversations with entrepreneurs that will help you make more money, become a strong leader, and build a business culture that you're proud of. Grab your coffee and let's dive in. Hello and welcome to Eye Openers. Thank you, audience members, for being here and taking the time to listen to the insights, the eye-opening moments that have come through my conversations, and really also my caffeine addiction. But I'm very open about it. You know, the first step is really recognizing you have a problem. And I feel like I've got some pretty healthy boundaries around my tool that I use to help gain insights. So today, I am not talking to myself, which is fantastic. I have a fun guest with me today. Wei, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure being here.
And where are you joining us from? Let the audience know we are far away from each other.
Yes, but not in mind and spirit. So I'm calling in from Germany, where I'm located, but I work internationally since more than 15 years. So it's a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you. Yes, and I completely agree. Maybe physically our bodies are far apart, but we are connected through spirit and mindset. So I have a fun little concoction going on today in my more self-love mug. If you're watching the video, you can see I definitely have a fun collection of mugs because I feel like it, starts my day off right with a fun message. But I did a mix of the synergistic mushrooms and turmeric in my coffee today. So a way to spice it up and feel like I'm adding some healthy nutrition to my eye-opening regimen here. How about you?
My choice is peppermint tea all night long.
Peppermint tea. That is so. Even like later into the day, peppermint tea, or
yes, it's all day. It's all day, all night.
All day, all night.
No, not at night, but I'm a recovering espresso addict. So, but yeah, so you get wiser. I do. And your stomach feels also more, kind of like less intruded. So let's put it that way.
I love that. The other day I was at an on-site event for a client, and they're an event company. So there was 200 people there, and it was lots of energy, and it was open bar. So you imagine there was like lots of drinking, and I don't really drink. And I was looked to the side and I saw a little like tea and coffee stand. And I had a nice cup of peppermint tea after dinner. And that was so nice on the digestive system, just like felt really great after food. And some people were giving me like a second look, like, why is that person having a cup of tea right now instead of joining the bar? And it was actually an eye-opening moment for me, because we can look at these things that we have socially normalized, these different habits of like, of course, we're going to grab a drink, whatever. And like, that's not what this podcast is necessarily about. But my eye-opening moment was I didn't have to go do that. I didn't have to participate in that way. And I got to do something else that served me, served my body, served my well-being. And it was eye-opening for me to see just what that felt like to go against the grain of what everybody else is doing. I'm sure you've been in those moments too.
I get these looks all the time. So
it doesn't even faze you anymore.
No, it's just so. And it's funny because even in the summertime, so when actually it's getting hotter, and but it's the same. It's good. It's refreshing. It's really kind of like, I like that taste of mint, and it's really refreshing even when it's hot. And sometimes when it's really hot, then of course could be an iced mint tea. So
yes,
with some limes.
I don't know if you've ever been to Morocco and had the mint tea with the honey. Oh, that is a special treat. So for those of you at home, you can try that at home. They should say don't try that at home, but you can try that.
Definitely.
Okay, well, let's beyond the tea drinking. Let's let the audience understand why I am so excited to have you on today, because this is months in the making. I mean, we started talking a few months ago. So would you please give us a brief background and introduction, really a formal introduction to why you're here today?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm here because of you. So thank you again for the invitation. So hi, I'm Uwe and I'm an executive coach, also known as the Lifestyle Liberator and the founder of the AIM experience for busy executives and their VIPs, as I call them, the very important partners at home. So my 3-part model has been proven in over 17,000 sessions across 3 continents. My clients work with me so they can get their career trajectory moving upward again and at the same time open the floodgates of fun and intimacy at home. And we call it work-life harmony. So, and I can say that I'm on a mission to unlock the latent potential within high achiever families, elevating the standards of leadership success and triggering a ripple of positive impact that echoes through generations. And in the broader context of mental health awareness, I aim to aid high-achieving professionals and their partners in navigating the delicate balance of maintaining mental well-being whilst striving for professional success and a fulfilling personal life. And I strongly believe that to become a better leader, you must first become a better partner at home.
That is beautiful. Really well said. And if you guys can tell already, there is so much synergy here between the work that I do, the work that you do. And I really wanted to talk about, how you came to this model, because I feel like I came to it myself from having experiences with clients, from working with more and more professionals and understanding, oh, this doesn't happen in a vacuum, or by repeatedly saying to myself, I wish I had a wife because that would make my life so much easier. And thinking about, this happens in tandem. There are support systems and we need to recognize what those are and also make sure we're serving and giving good energy to those different parts of our lives so that they can give back to us too. So I would love to walk us through, like, what was the work you were doing when you kind of came upon this model or how did you stumble upon this?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. So let me start with kind of like a little the backstory of why I do what I do and what was important. And it really, really profound. It was, created in that moment 6 days before Christmas 2016. My mother died. And I always cherished that I was there for her while holding her hands when she left. So I loved my family and it was my safe haven. Although they gave me their love and protection, as a young boy, I was sexually abused and I told no one. And then after I lost 2 very important family members, my uncle when I was 16 and my father when I was 23, something just broke inside of me. And I started to believe that the remaining members of my family had just given up on me, and I distanced myself from them, even my mother, because I felt I couldn't risk opening up to them. So I became isolated, separated from friends, lost my job, was overwhelmed, physically and emotionally exhausted, and felt there was no reason for being in this world. I wasn't sad or angry. Well, the truth is, I didn't feel anything at all. And that's when I found myself on the edge of a bridge one cold winter night, and I could see my breath as I slowly leaned forward. I let go. But at that moment, something happened. For the very first time since my father had died, I felt something inside me, and it drew me back from jumping. It literally saved my life. And that night, I learned an important lesson. I learned that transformation requires more than letting go of the status quo. Without the other half of the equation, letting go just leaves you in free fall. So if all I had done on that bridge was let go, then I would not be here talking to you today. So probably wondering, what is the other half? Well, the second half of the equation is to feel, perceive, and let in what is already there. So letting go and letting in, it's a two-part mechanism, and they are only complete as a pair. So on that bridge, all those years ago, I let in a small spark, and that grew into a powerful flame. And I made myself a promise that I'm still keeping today, to make it my life's mission to help others learn this secret. Because letting go and letting in is crucial for your mental health, for your well-being, your career trajectory, and your family's happiness. Letting in energy, positive thoughts, and a sense of clarity and certainty. Letting go of self-doubt, fear, negativity, and stress. It really is that simple. And the more you do it, the more it happens. It's like a switch that you can consciously flip to strengthen and re-energize your relationship with your partner every single day. And this letting go and letting in switch is also your own anti-burnout system. And it even can divorce-proof your marriage and help you to become a better leader. So that's what I do. What I do.
Wow. I want you guys to know I'm hearing all this, actually, a lot of this for the first time. And I'm really appreciative of your candidness, your authenticity, your willingness to like show up and really show us, that the pieces and how you got there. So I deeply appreciate that. Thank you. I think it's so important to recognize that we all have stories in our life that we experienced as traumatic. So yours might be different in ways. Yet I don't want you to minimize your own experiences that have happened to you. Whether it's trauma with a capital T or a lowercase t, they're your experiences and they have shaped you. And I think this is a really, really important insight that the more self-awareness you can bring, like the more you sit with who you are, where you've been, what has shaped you, and reflect on that, the more you can incorporate it and the more you can benefit from it. And people think, oh my gosh, benefit from the negative things that have happened in my life. Well, they're already there in your body, in your ecosystem, right? And if you think you're keeping them out or compartmentalizing, that's a cute thought, but you're wrong. Your body keeps the score, and it's a fantastic book if you haven't read it. And the sooner that you can look at who you are in all facets of your life and look at integrating all of that, the more fully you get to show up and you get to be as confident or poised in your presentation, like my guest here. This is decades of work, friends. I'm telling you, because I have seen it. And I just want to congratulate you on that way, because I know that's decades of work. And the great part, though, is the true recipient of all that, the beneficiary is you and is your community of people who are close to you. So I can't stress enough, like, how important it is for you to do your own work and realize who am I? Who are all these components of myself, bringing them together? Now, when you have done this work with high achieving, high performing people, executives, leaders, where do you notice that people either struggled to like let go or they struggled to let in? What were the blocks you were seeing?
Well, thank you for acknowledging what you just shared. Also, I appreciate it. And so yes, it takes. Let me just say something first before I go into the answer to the question. So yes, it takes time, but it's step by step. And I think I just want to highlight again the other side of the equation. The missing link is what you need to practice, not the letting go part, because the letting go part is there of your past, and of course you can let that go. Yes, you can. We all can that. But not if there's nothing there to let in instead. So that's why this is so important and why this is crucial for kind of like cracking your code of transformation, as I call this. And so for my clients, that means, just draw a picture here. So if you ever feel like you're running on a hamster wheel, striving to elevate your career trajectory, but, seemingly stuck in place, or you find yourself wrestling with the complexities of harmonizing your work life and personal life, all while cherishing your partner, right? So you're not alone in this. And this is kind of like a predicament many find themselves in, especially in today's high-speed, high-stress world. So picture this. So, to really make that point here, you're ensnared in a labyrinth of paperwork and deadlines bound to your office desk as, precious family events like your daughter's soccer game take place without you. You eventually make it to the field, but the incessant buzzing of work notifications on your phone steals away your focus. So the fallout, well, a growing divide between you and your loved ones. And simultaneously, you're yearning to ascend to a higher professional position or shoulder more responsibility, but your diligent efforts seem to go unnoticed. And you watch as your colleagues climb the corporate ladder, leaving you rooted in your current role. It's like hitting a wall that you can't seem to break through. And the frustration and uncertainty about your future mount. And you begin to feel isolated from your colleagues and distant from your family, the very people for whom all this hard work is meant, right? So it's indeed a challenge to manage the whirlwind of work and home life, isn't it? So let's switch perspectives and step into your VIP's shoes, your very important partner's shoes. Your spouse or life partner has been, counting down the minutes to your return from a business trip or a long day at work. Their excitement to reconnect is palpable, but when you finally walk through the door, the fatigue etched on your face says it all. You have to dive back into work, leaving your partner's expectations unmet. They can't help but feel like they've been pushed down the priority list. So fast forward to dinner time. You both sit across from each other, eyes locked onto your phone screens, the silence between you heavy and stifling. So you can't remember the last time you had a deep, meaningful conversation, and you wonder how you ended up feeling so disconnected from your partner. So over time, these unspoken feelings of being undervalued and overlooked start to steep into your partner's consciousness. They attend a work event with you, but instead of being acknowledged as your partner, they are brushed aside or introduced as just a spouse. The sting of invisibility leaves them questioning the value you place on your relationship. So, in an era where mental health is gaining due recognition, honing communication and conflict resolution skills is crucial not just for workplace success, but for nurturing a healthy and fulfilling personal life too. So, lastly, do you and your partner share a unified vision for your relationship? If you're not aligned in terms of your priorities and aspirations, it can lead to a lack of harmony, passion, intimacy, and fun. Life can start to feel like a monotonous routine and devoid of the adventure and spontaneity that once infused your relationship. And through this lens of mental health awareness, it's clear that maintaining work-life harmony is not just about managing time effectively. It's about nurturing relationships, fostering communication, and ensuring that we and our loved ones feel seen, heard, and valued. So this is part of where letting go and letting in is crucial to your development of all these factors I just mentioned, these situations that we can all resonate with because we have experienced them over and over, right?
Right. Oh, it's so invaluable. I can share, not so much now, because thankfully I feel like I get a lot of recognition for my work and am in a really great place. But early on, I'm a little bit younger than my husband. My husband's a physician, and especially in the States, but there's just so much like respect and recognition, for somebody who has made that achievement. And it happens pretty early, like it's like medicine's a weird place where you kind of reach the top at 28 and there you are. And it's everywhere. It's like the names on prefixes on your credit card, or it's, and so it was really hard for me because I was also accomplished. I'd also like spent a lot of time training but I was a few years behind and there was no like common shared platform or understanding of like, oh, like your work is meaningful too, or like I should recognize the impact you have. But I got in touch with that experience I was having, because it was frustrating to be introduced as the spouse or like people. I remember being in our house and somebody was visiting and saying, "Oh, oh, this is a beautiful house." And somebody leaned over and told her, "Oh, well, she's married to a doctor." Like incredibly minimizing any kind of contribution I would make to the household. And I just remember being infuriated, but I had to let go of that in order to let in something more positive that ultimately would help drive our connection and really help my personal success too. Like I had to let go of in order to make space. And also it's a reflection of other people too, and not just me. Gosh, I'm starting to feel like this is a little bit of a therapy session, which is nice. Thank you for that. But I just wanted to share a personal example that this is everywhere. And part of it is for like us to connect with like, what's our response to it? What is that like? But also thinking about, well, how do we drive that connection? Where do we need to be on the same page? And how do we co-create something that's meaningful for us as a family?
Well, the part is definitely that, as you just mentioned, when you were ready to let go, then of course you have to let in something else. And what I help my clients with is essentially that, so they can practice the letting in part. So because that is not something that you got taught. So nobody teaches that until now, of course. but of course, but that the focus is always kind of like somehow you let go and somehow, it just gets better, right? But you have an active part in this equation. You can actively lean in and say, hey, what is there in that very moment when I let go? And, sometimes you miss the opportunity. And the more you miss that, the closer, you bring your mental health in danger and you're at risk of burning out or divorce or worse. So it's kind of like, it's all kind of like connected to that extent. And so, yeah, it's super important to be aware. And now you all are aware that there's something else that you can focus on instead of like trying to let go of all of the past. Well, the past is the past, but you can only let go and let in the present. So not in the past, you can do it only in the present. So that's the only time when you can change, your direction or, the way how you communicate with your loved ones or how you show up at work, how you make decisions. And you're getting better at decision making. So from a leadership perspective, this is why this is all connected, the family life and your role at work.
Could you give us one or two suggestions from the executive standpoint and one or two suggestions from the VIP, the very important partner perspective of how could they get started down this healthier path? What can they do?
Is that okay if I share how I work with my clients? Because that gives kind of like the background of how you can find an entry point for yourself, because it's always very individual. So I shared this with you already, so let me just go in deeper. So when I work with my clients, I realized I started with the executives, then the medical professionals, and, later on the VIPs. And I got asked by the VIPs very often, hey, I loved what you did with my spouse. Can you coach me too? I said, yes, of course. Lucky me. I'm not a client, but that's not it. What I want to talk about is I realized in these high achieving, high performing families, there is an imbalance too often. I already mentioned it. And typically it looks like this, that, from the perspective of the VIP, they feel they're kind of like down here, while the breadwinner, so to speak, is up here and in their relationship. And they resent that, the VIPs. They ask themselves, what about me? What's the next step in my career? Why don't you spend more time with me and the kids, etc.? So anguishing arguments start, big D looming at the horizon, and they decide to go that pathway. Essentially means to live an independent life outside of marriage. So this is where I come into the picture. And what I do differently, because I'm not a family counselor, not a family therapist, is I coach both partners at the same time, but separately, so they can regain their independence within their relationship and start to level up to each other. And we do this, as you know, in regular evaluation sessions, which we call falling back in love sessions. And there's lots of goosebumps moments. That's also something to experience. And then I realize that, oh gosh, this is why I trigger you with my sticky family pattern and vice versa. And because they've dealt with it on their own first, they are now ready to discover their truest, deepest connection with each other. Mm-hmm. And therefore are able to upgrade their relationship to an interdependent one where they can get their career trajectory moving upward again, enjoy more fun, intimacy, and adventures, and get better results at work. Because that's why, I would say, I would call this recycling motivation, because you gain the motivation at home and spend it at work and then repeat. And so this is kind of like the entry point. Long answer to a quick answer is kind of like, it starts with you. It starts with your own personal growth within the relationship. So, and that's why I kind of like the differentiation of me in the market is so important, because I don't have to, in these falling back in love sessions, I don't have to do much than just facilitating the process, because you both know already what you need to talk about. Yep. And because you've dealt with it on your own. For example, tragically, one of my clients, they lost their first child and they never talked about that together. So they were on the edge of a divorce. And so luckily there was a dentist. He met me, and so we got in touch, and then started to coach them both. And the first thing we did was really helping them to deal with the loss on their own. They weren't capable of sharing how they felt about that. So it's really coming back to what I just said. So you have to deal with it your own. And then when we brought it together, it was very moving, very, very emotional for all of us. So still get teary when I think about that situation. But they found peace. Oh. And that was kind of like the foundation for their success, now thriving as the couple they are together. And they have a divorce-proof marriage now.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I want to also just add some more evidence to this model, because I work in a similar way, but in the partnerships that people have in the workspace. So like an entire executive team, I will coach, and the importance of doing the work individually. And then we bring everybody together about once a month or every 6 weeks to do like a day and a half, actually, like offsite together, where we eat together, we share, we have intense conversation, we make sure we repair, we have a goal forward. But the accountability that's there from doing the process individually and then having this coming together, like the growth that facilitates, the personal kind of accountability of like, yes, I had these insights or whatever I processed individually, and now I get to share that. Just the opportunity to have that space and to have somebody hold it for you, both individually and together. I mean, I'm in the process of writing a white paper about this because it is so powerful. the way that we facilitate this work in this process, and you're doing the exact same thing, but really in a more important culture setting, the family and the home, and the family you've created. It's so important, and it's so validating, and it's so effective. So I'm so happy to hear that you do this work.
Well, thank you. So it's part of, if I just may say so, one thing. So it's really part of the C-suite is opening up more since a couple of years and since COVID hit. And so it's really kind of like, ideally you would have your C-suite go through a process like that with your partner. Because typically, when you hear that in organizations, they say, no, we kind of separate work from your personal life and so on. And I say, fair enough. So, but essentially when your colleague is showing up under the radar for a couple of weeks, what's the first thought that comes to mind? Anything okay at home? There you have it. That's the connection. It's always there. And it can't be just, we don't do this here. So I'm glad that, also in kind of coming from the perspective of mental health awareness, is growing in corporate and all over the world, that, people are opening up to solutions that really can solve root causes and where they are. And that helps them to get more effective and more efficient workspace, and their leaders become great leaders. As I believe that, in order to become a great leader, you must first become a better partner at home. So there's a connection.
Big time. So you have this really well-defined process and way people work with you. Can you please share, how could somebody reach out to you? What's the best way for them to find you and learn about your work?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. So just go to my website, www.uwedakhorn.com. That is UWEDOCKHORN.com. And you find all kinds of information, resources. I have a quiz assessment, case study. I do monthly live demonstrations of how I help my clients. Credit card is safe. Don't worry. And, all kinds of good stuff. We do an annual live event, which is called YFM, Your Family Matters. So there's a lot to come. And the next one, of course, at the beginning of next year. But I just want to invite you to be there if possible. And what we do there, of course, we create at least 12 goosebumps moments ready to experience for the upcoming year with your loved ones.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And we're going to make sure all that information in the show notes to make it easy for you. So no matter which platform you're seeing this on, that information is going to be accessible to you in the notes. I can't thank you enough. I find these conversations so valuable. I think that people have been so disconnected from business and career advice from personal. How do you manage yourself? How do you, create a positive life for your family? And I don't want these things to be separate conversations anymore. So I really value you coming on and sharing these insights with us. I hope that audience has also found value in this. I always love to hear from you guys. Please share your feedback in whichever platform you're seeing this, or send me an email. You guys know how to reach me. It's so fun to hear what insights you guys have gleaned from these conversations. Thank you again for another fun Eye Openers episode. And until next time, keep going, keep striving for that growth and finding the insights for you in your life. Thanks for joining us this week on Eye Openers. Make sure to visit brittanygrows.com/podcast for this week's show notes. And if you found value in today's episode, I would so appreciate you giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or share it with a friend. Also, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. This all helps to support the show.